HIDA NCAA football predictions. This is week 9 already. We are halfway through a 16-week season that will take us through the Army-Navy game, through some bowl games, and Alabama winning the college football championship. Last week, I was in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, with my son William. This week, we are in Lynchburg, Virginia, visiting my in-laws, and I am at Percival's Island, which is a park in downtown Lynchburg. If you look at the background, this is what downtown looks like, and I'm actually just a couple of hundred yards away from downtown. You'll be able to hear a little bit of traffic noise in the background. That's from the roads and so forth in the area. So let's visit last week. 6-2 last week. For the season, I'm 47-16. But some highlights from last week. Army got upset by Georgia State. I was not expecting that. And Penn State won over Michigan. It turned out by game time, Penn State was favored. And they're now ranked number 6 in the college AP poll. I don't know why they're ranked that high. Anyway, those were my 2 losses. But Maine at Liberty for homecoming was amazing. We were there in person, and it was incredible to watch that game for their homecoming. So this week, none of my teams that I pick have byes, so there's only one game of the week. And my guest picker this week, my father-in-law, who couldn't be here for the taping on Percival Island, gave me all of his inputs. And what he allowed me to do, rather than him being here, was bring the Army-Navy trophy, which the history behind this trophy, when we started our competition, my father-in-law went to West Point, I went to the Naval Academy. And in the late 80s, it seemed that the Commander-in-Chief's trophy was spending all of its time in Colorado Springs. So we wanted to have a trophy, basically a second place trophy or a loser's trophy, as it is. So we have the Army-Navy trophy, which gets presented as a Christmas present to whichever team wins. And there was a long streak where it sat and got dusty at our house. And out of pity, I gave it to my father-in-law as a gift one year. And then Army started winning. And yes, Army has the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. Yes, my father-in-law has the Army-Navy trophy. This year, I hope to change that. But the good news is, since we beat Air Force, the Commander-in-Chief's trophy will not go to Colorado Springs. So let's start with the games this week. First game, San Jose State at Army. Sorry, Kimber. I'm going to pick Army. Army's favored by touchdown and a half. And my father-in-law picks Army as well. No surprise, except he tries to make more realistic and accurate picks. I'm all emotion most of the time, but he thinks Army actually is going to beat San Jose State. As we all know, San Jose State is better known for their women's water polo than for their football. Next game, Texas 5-2 at TCU, who's 3-3. Now the line on this is Texas by 1.5 points. I don't understand why it's so close. TCU has been kind of marginal this year, so I am going to pick Texas, and my father-in-law picks Texas as well. Next game we're going into, Iowa 5-2 against Northwestern 1-5. Northwestern has been the team that helps improve everybody else's record this season. So Iowa's only favored by a touchdown and a half, but I pick Iowa and Dad picks Iowa. Next, Wisconsin 6-2 against Ohio State 7-0. Wisconsin, really huge upset. They lost last week. I believe it was to Indiana. So they are 6-1 now. Ohio State's favored by a couple of touchdowns. I pick Ohio State, and Dad picks Ohio State. Next pick, Arkansas 2-5, going down to Alabama, who's 7-0. Should not even be a close game. I pick Alabama, Dad picks Alabama as well. Indiana 5-2, they upset Wisconsin last week is at Nebraska, 4-3. I haven't found a line yet on this game. Indiana looks real good. Nebraska's been really inconsistent. Just my heart wants to say at the end of this, both teams will be 5-3 and Nebraska will find a way to win at home. And Dad, pick Nebraska as well, primarily because it's a home game for them. Next game, this is a big one. The Green Wave, Tulane, 5-2, is coming to Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium to play Navy, who's 5-1. This will be a tough, hard-fought game. As long as Navy's quarterback stays healthy, Navy should be able to carry the day on this one. So I pick Navy. Dad picks Navy as well. And just so you know, both of us prefer to see the service academies do well so that when the Army-Navy game happens, it is a significant game and it actually means something. It's not a couple of 2-10 teams playing at the end of the season. We want it to be much more competitive than that. So we will cheer on the other service academies. We have one game of the week this week, and we picked a couple of outstanding teams playing in a SEC rivalry. Auburn, who's 6-1, playing against LSU, who's 7-0. While LSU is favored, this should be a really good game. Auburn's only loss was to Florida, and the week after Florida beat Auburn, they lost to LSU, but a couple of good games played by a good team, Florida. So because it's a home game for LSU and it's going to be hard fought, I'm going to pick LSU at home by a little bit, and Dad picks LSU as well. Last thing we have to do here on Percival's Island is to pick the teams that are going to play in the college football playoffs. I'm going to stay the same as last week: Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma. And LSU, boy, they're ranked number 2. Clemson is down at number 4 now. The AP has Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, Oklahoma, and Penn State as the top 6. So again, my picks will be Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Oklahoma. And Dad, just to be a bit of a contrarian, picked Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and he went out to the Pac-12, picked the Ducks, Oregon, to be that number 4 team. So that wraps up this episode, week 9 of Heidamath NCAA football predictions. Not sure where we're going to be coming from next week because we're going to be doing a little bit of traveling. Probably going to have to upload the video on the road. So I may come to you from a rest area somewhere on I-64 in West Virginia. I don't know yet. We'll see. To wrap this up, go Navy.